Give me something to.
Yeah, shotgun it.
Well, why? I mean, it's lunch beers. Y'all don't do that at lunch?
Yeah, sure.
Welcome to Lunch Beers episode 5. This week's guest is Thomas David, who's running for Rapides Parish Clerk of Court. Welcome, Thomas.
All right.
Thank you guys. Thank
All
you
right.
for having me.
All right, so let me show you what we got today. So we got Juicifer over there. That's one of my favorites.
Okay.
I think I've pulled that one multiple times for episodes. We have the Straw Gator, which is a bold move because it's like an 8%. Then we have just your traditional Blue Moon. So, everybody, what you want?
Dealer's choice.
Okay, I'm in between a Blue Moon and a Straw Gator, so I'll go juice.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, I'm going to do the Straw Gator one.
And I got the Blue Moon already ready to go.
All right,
Okay.
cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on,
Yeah,
Thomas.
thank you.
guys.
You're running for Clerk of Court, and everybody's dying to know, what the is the Clerk of Court?
The Clerk of Court is the legal record keeper, the official record keeper of the parish.
Okay.
Okay, and they're also the chief election official of the parish. So it's a very important position that's not talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of important documents flow through the Clerk of Court's office.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, like, we see signs everywhere for the Clerk of Court for the race and everything, and I don't know, every time I've talked to a few people, I'm like, yeah, Tom's is going to come on the show, talk about the Clerk of Court, and it's always the same question. We're like, what is the Clerk of Court?
And we get that a lot, and it's a great position for me, and it's one that I've always looked forward to running for. I just didn't think the time would come. When it came about, I just said, I want to do it.
Yeah.
This is where I want to try. Now,
Yeah.
I did not, being in the private sector for 16 years, I did not think campaigning would be what it is.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I've always been on the other side of politics. So
Yeah.
it's
No, I want to talk more about that because you're from here. You have been in this town for a really long time, and so campaigning in a town you grew up in, I'm sure is a really unique experience. Probably very challenging too. So tell us a little bit about that.
It's humbling. It's I've been here my whole life. Besides college, so I went to LSU and then I went to Southern Law School, and then I came back home. Went to the hardest school I've ever been to. I went to LSUA.
Big city school.
Oh man, LSUA was tough. I always tell Dr. Carell that. I said, Dr. Carell, man, I tell you, out of all the schools, LSUA was tough. And I started studying. It was torn between history and political science.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I started finding passion in both. And then I ended up going political science.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which there's a lot of, like, overlap with those two, isn't
Yeah,
there? Like,
yeah.
You have to do a lot of history, like, classes for that.
And that's what I was just trying to kind of find a major, and I just had a passion for that, and I was going, maybe I'll be get a PhD and teach, one of those two. But I read a book, and it's in political science class that talked about Camille Gravel.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Camille Gravel is an uncle of mine,
Okay.
old Camille,
Yeah.
and he.
He wasn't the governor.
No, but he was the governor's attorney.
That's
right.
And was very strong. He was a big part of the National Democratic Party at the time,
Yeah.
back and helped JFK when he
That's
was
right.
getting elected. So
That's right.
he had all these political ties. And I just found it so interesting that somebody in my family had this, and I never knew about it.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of fell in love with politics, and he was still alive at the time. And
Oh, cool. So you got to go talk to him about it a little bit.
yeah, and so one of the last things he did before he died was write my recommendation for law school.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
Wow, what a
Yes,
blessing.
so,
Do you have that framed anywhere?
No, and I actually do want to find it because you don't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
But he was very concerned and worried.
What if you got
about-
it and it was just like not very
Yeah,
good?
yeah. Like, look, I
He's like,
gotta
"This is
write
my
a
shit,
rep. Yeah. There's got to be someone better to pick for this.
Well, you got in, so it
Yeah.
must have
Yes,
been pretty
yes.
good.
Yeah, I got in and graduated in 2008, and
Okay.
I took the bar in 2008, and then the housing crisis hit in 2008.
Yeah.
So when I came back and was talking with my dad about finding a job, he was like, "Son, look, let's wait till this crisis adverts and is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you come work for me? I got a
Yeah.
ton of work, and then in a year or so,
Yeah.
You
And
go
that's
back.
at Pan American.
Pan American Engineers.
Yeah.
And so a year turned into 16.
we talk to a lot of people that work in a family business. I mean, almost all of our guests, to a certain degree, have a family business tie.
Yeah.
And us personally, and it is so challenging sometimes, but it also is such a blessing in the same sense.
It really is. And my sister's an architect, and she's in the office next to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
It's going to be probably a little bittersweet, you know, if you
absolutely.
if you win and moving into a clerk of court position.
Absolutely. And my dad, he's gotten older. I can't take over the company because I'm not an engineer.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Since it's Pan American Engineers, you can't run that company if you're not an engineer?
No.
Didn't know
you
that's how
need
that
to
worked.
be, I think it's like a 50%. You got to have, an engineer needs to have, or two engineers, you know, so.
I didn't know that's how that worked.
Most of the time. At the end of the day, it's been great management, and the stuff I've been doing is helping, you know, communities, municipalities all over the state and country do projects from conception to implementations all the way to closeout. So it's been very, very neat experience.
Yeah.
And I've learned a ton from it. But at some point, I did want to be in the legal field.
Yeah.
And this
That's what
would
you
be a
started
great
out with
position.
the intention to do.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. It just took you 16 years to get to that next chapter that you started out looking for.
That's it.
So we got to see your little girl Elliot on your commercials and your family in the campaign, and it's really unique actually to have such a young family while running for a political position. So tell us what that was like when you had that conversation with Natalie and was like, hey, I want to do this. Let's get on our calendar and ruin it.
Let's put our family out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think, it's Rapides Parish. It's a 3-month election cycle. This is going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's and so Natalie and I were both going, go, let's do it. She was actually really supportive. We prayed on it a lot, and then it started. And having 2 kids, my kids are needy. I love they are needy. It's been interesting. I like to bring them places because I think it's neat for them to see, no matter what happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Elliot's going to see something that no other kids really get to experience. You know, a lot of the elected officials tend to be a little bit older, you know, or their kids are older. So this will be fun to do and let her experience.
Oh, you're creating some core memories with them.
Oh,
Win or lose.
That is kind of, I never thought of that.
Well, now the other day, and I'll be honest, so my opponent's sweet, like, you know, very nice family, and it wouldn't matter if she wasn't, but I've grown up. Our values were don't be a bully, a humble winner, and a gracious loser kind of thing. And Elliot booed at one of her signs.
Oh no! At least you didn't flip it off.
Yeah, I was. That'd have been my son. He doesn't understand. But I said, hey, you know, you cannot do that.
Yeah, that's not
even
how
if
we
it's
roll.
Just me and you. No, we're happy for either way it goes. But no, Elliot is definitely in it.
She is, and she's as cute as it could be. Too.
Please vote for my dad.
Please vote for my dad.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Dude, she delivered that line like she was born to do that.
Oh, and now she's cocky now. She's walking around the house like, when are we doing another commercial?
This is
great.
You know, in 20 years, you look up, you'd like to still be doing clerk of court. Like, it's no...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I would like to retire from this position.
No joke.
But, or when I feel the changes I've made have done good for the parish.
Yeah.
And bettered the parish. And, like, my job is done.
Yeah.
I feel that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then let it be up to the next generation.
Yeah.
Good.
One thing that I think the younger generation needs to know is we've all probably felt this way and heard like, oh, your vote doesn't matter. And that could not be further from the truth in local elections. And in fact, if you go back to some previous races, like even the ones in November, people would win and lose by a swing of 50 to 100 votes.
Oh, yeah. That was crazy.
Gosh.
That's insane.
The city of Pineville, last election for mayor was 5 votes.
Wow.
5 votes.
5 people
Was
had to show up.
wait, that was the
5
determining
people.
factor?
The
was
determining
5?
factor was 5 votes.
That's how close that these things can be.
Well, and the younger generation, and I like to say my generation, but I'm not as young as I want to be. You know?
Not as young as you feel?
No, and my wife's 8 years younger, and sometimes I have to remind her that I'm trying to keep up, baby. I'm trying to keep up.
Yeah.
But it's a the younger generation go, oh well, I got soccer and I got this, and then we got to be here and we got to do this, and it doesn't really matter, but it does matter, and we've got to bring that to light at some point. And I do want to promote that. In my first 100 days, I want to go to the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to go to the nursing homes. I want to be a part of the community and explain to them how important, as the chief election official, that the voting process is.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's kind of crazy. Like, everybody gets all excited about presidential elections. I mean, and the president definitely affects your life, but local stuff affects your life way more. And that's the stuff that nobody turns out to. Like, so it's like the stuff that's going to directly affect you gets the least enthusiasm.
And that's really, too, a part of my campaign was to run and maybe be an example for the next generation to get excited for politics, whether it's to step into roles of politics or to be a part. Every time you go in that voting booth and you're hitting something, you're now a part. And you can't complain if you didn't hit the button.
Yeah,
That's right.
And I do think, like, I know our generation, I know I feel this way, but I do feel like there's a lot of political burnout. Like, we went through such a tumultuous time, like, in 2020, and our parents' generation are highly involved. I know, just about every person I know has had a very, like, hot button topic with their parents because they're so passionate about politics, and our generation is kind of, like, more middle ground, almost.
Yeah.
And so I do think that results in burnout, but we do need to remember, like, these are the elections that really count.
And they do. And you can get burnout in the media.
Yeah.
Everything is just constantly, it just pounds you with stuff. And and I think it steered a lot of the younger generation away.
If you're going to vote for anything, vote for local and don't worry about the presidential election. I think you could actually make a real argument that that's way more important for your day-to-day life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think state politics is all the way down to municipal are very important. And we're seeing that now.
This episode is brought to you by WebPulse. And you might be asking yourself, what does lunch beers have to do with website optimizations? The answer is absolutely nothing. But if you have a website and you need it to be better, check out webpulsehq.com.
Well, for me, I wanted it to be a job interview.
Yeah, oh, I got you.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
You can polish up for a job interview, in and out.
Like, guys, this is my vision.
Yeah.
These are my credentials. Let the voters,
Decide.
Go. And then it's, oh God, don't read Facebook. I didn't. No one told me that.
Yeah.
But I do have this campaign team in Baton Rouge, and they're like, psychologically, the things that can beat you on campaigns, and it is really neat. The sign, they call it sign wars.
Yeah.
The comments.
Yeah.
And
are you looking at Facebook? Wait, so are you looking at Facebook?
Did you make that mistake one time?
I've made it 3.
Listen,
which means probably 5. I am running for office.
I do have a burner account, and I roast the hell out of you.
Is that you? I knew that was you. No, and I will say this. My wife is my biggest fan. Yeah. Like, I am blessed beyond means. If I'd had 3 of these, I might get squirt a tear, but don't try that. But no, she's such a big fan, but she wants to fight for me.
The protective instinct kicks in.
And I grew up around politics. It's our firm was always helping politics.
Backing whoever.
Well, you got to back. You got to be smart in both candidates, because a lot of our work goes through municipal governments.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I had grown up around it, and but never on this side of it. But so I knew there would be some pushback.
Yeah.
Oh, Natalie's like, I'm gonna get on there and I'm gonna tell them, and she'll text me what she wants to say.
Like,
And
It's almost like she just needs to get it off of her chest.
Yes, and that's what I tell her.
I
Just
feel
get
that.
it off your
Oh,
chest.
we feel that way. I mean, we get we get all kind of hate comments, even for our web pulse and lunch beer stuff. I mean, but that is actually a sign of like engagement,
Yes.
and it really is. It's like you're making an impact in someone's life, whether it's positive or negative. Like they're paying attention to you.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie. So there's one Facebook post I think you're referring to, that the comments are crazy. One of the funniest comments I saw was, it was basically a highlight piece for you. I forgot who did it, and the comments were, one of them was, never heard of this guy voting for Karen. I'm like, and then everybody's like, what is that? Why don't you just go read about it? Why don't you go learn about it? Like, yeah, you don't. What does that have to do with anything?
That's too good.
Yeah, Natalie told me somebody wrote today, it's going to be a bloodbath for David. But it does look like David. So I'm like, that Natalie screenshot. I'm like, Natalie, stop reading that. Bloodbath does sound bad, though.
No, it's not. Nobody's bleeding.
Yeah, so let's keep.
So, okay, question for you. Does the clerk of court handle, like, police, like, not police jury, jury duty, like, if you don't show up? It's filed through the clerk of court's office?
Yes. So the jury duty, you are in charge of getting a commission together. Now, you need to be personally served. And so if you do receive...
So you are personally served? Okay.
Well, now
So
they're
you got
just sending
ulterior
it by
questions here.
letter.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Okay,
go ahead.
okay, all right. So let me
this.
just tell you this story, because maybe you can help me with this.
This was like last week.
I gotta be careful.
No.
with this.
Okay,
Just
so
listen.
I have an attorney opinion. Yeah, so.
well, so I get a call from this like deputy. I don't remember his name.
A 318 number.
318 number. They leave me a voicemail. They're like, we're calling for Miss Hailey Huffman. So we're deputy so and so. We need to ask you a few questions. I'm like, okay. So I call them back, and they didn't answer. They call me back again, and they're like, "Ma'am, are you aware you had jury duty and you didn't show up for it?" And I'm like, no, I didn't. He's like, you got, we had a letter delivered to your house and you signed for it. And we have your signature here that you knew and you didn't show up. And now the judge has issued a warrant for you. And I start losing my mind.
Well, so I hear Hailey in the back of the house. So I hear she's kind of frantic, and then I walk in on this conversation. So then what do they?
They're like, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to stay on the phone with us. Don't hang up. If you hang up, we're sending officers to your house. And they're like, you need to come up to this courthouse right now in the next like 30 minutes and get your paperwork in and sign something and deal with your charges. They're like, they're not criminal right now, but if you don't comply, they will become criminal. And
you're not in trouble, but you could be.
You're about to be.
So I'm like, okay, well, let me get my keys. You know, I'm like trying to get all this together.
You were going?
Oh, Hailey's panicked. Hailey's in
I
full
was so
blown
nervous.
panic. Now I'm gonna say, the people that were doing
they
this.
transferred me to the
Yes.
the supervisor. They're giving me badge numbers.
Yes, they sounded really good.
Then they start getting real aggressive with me. Like they're like, you get in your car right now and you bring 2 forms of ID and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, and Gerald walks in at this point. He's laughing at me. He's like, you missed jury duty. Like,
well, I thought it was funny. And hey, insert the video of Hailey freaking out and then her like.
Oh, you have video?
Oh yeah, he's like.
Another individual, and the judge was wondering as to why you missed the jury summons. Now, you stated on this recorded line, ma'am, that you didn't receive a jury summons, correct?
I did not. I didn't get anything.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now, I'm just going over things, ma'am. I just need to make sure that I go over everything.
I'm like on the verge of tears.
Well, and then at one point she covers the mic. She's like, "Call lawyer, call lawyer."
I'm starting getting freaked
And
out
so,
because
yeah.
they're continuously telling me they're about to come to my home and arrest me. They had my address. They had my first and last name. They knew everything about me. And I'm like, I'm like, Gerald, can you call?
We ended up calling John, and he starts laughing. He's like, "Yeah, that's a scam, dude." And then so John's giving me advice. He says, "Listen, you just need to go mess with them. Tell them that I think it was they were telling her on a Tuesday. They're like, they don't do juries on Tuesdays for civil. And he's telling me all this. Hailey is still so worked up. I'm in there trying to mess with her. Hailey's fighting me.
No.
She's like still so mad.
I was like, I legit thought they were going to come arrest me.
Oh God! You should have told him, where do you want to meet? I'll be there.
All right.
And just send him on a
all I
goose
could just
track.
imagine was like a KLB headline of like Wunschmier's host gets arrested.
No, that's right. Wait, so the reason the scam is so good though is because they were telling her you need to report to the sheriff's department on Marie Street in downtown. So they were saying come to the sheriff's department, but apparently what they do is they get you to go to the kiosk where you send money to prisoners. And then there's some kind of a
They
scam
tell
going
you
there.
to write an account number or fine number. They give it to you. They
Yes.
make you go get cash. Like, because apparently once they do make you stay on the phone once you get in your car. They're like, by the way, you have to pay X amount in fines and you have to pay cash. So you go to an ATM, get the cash. Then you go to the kiosk and you write your fine number and you insert, the cash, but it's to an inmate.
Yeah, it's a good scam.
That's a great. I bet Natalie has done that 13 times because she's like, she doesn't want to tell me because she's like, he's gonna be so mad I missed jury duty.
Oh, I know.
She keeps going.
Well, I was like, and we've been in the middle of a move, and the whole time I'm thinking, like, I very easily could have missed this piece of mail. But, yeah, so I was like, yeah, I learned something new that the clerk of court does. And
Yeah.
I learned a valuable lesson to say, honestly, I kind of deserve to get scammed for just buying
my God,
yes.
Tell us something that we don't know about you.
I've always been into music, so I've seen. I love going to concerts. And
What's your favorite band?
right now, it's probably Widespread Panic.
Oh, really?
Widespread Panic is probably my favorite band. But for a while, I'd go see Dave Matthews Band.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You follow Dave Matthews?
I did. I've seen him 42 times.
Oh,
something
my
like that.
God.
Sounds like your sister and
Yeah.
our brother-in-law.
So, and what I would do is I would just pick a city and go see him there. So I got to see a bunch of venues.
Yeah.
And I would meet people, and I still have lifelong friends.
Because y'all all kind of go to the different concerts
Yeah, they would
together.
go.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I've love going to different places
Yeah.
and seeing that.
Are you an Abbott Brothers fan?
That is weird that you said that.
Really?
Okay. Wait.
I have a story about that.
It's not
That's
Abbott.
interesting.
It's not, but I love Abbott Brothers.
Avid. That's right. He's gonna get you on that.
So, but Avid is their cousins.
Are they?
No, it's Avid Brothers.
Back to the whole gullible thing.
But it made me think. Avid Brothers has a song called "I Am Loving You," and but another song I was listening to the other day. It said, "Love is about the changes you make, and not those three small words." Okay, and then it made me think about the parish, and made me think about what I'm doing, and I love this parish. And it's not about me just going, "I love the parish." If you love something, you got to change.
Yeah.
I've changed my whole life for my family because my family comes first. But I love this parish too, and I believe that change.
Yeah.
We've got to make a change, and it's the changes we make, not just going, "Yeah, I love it here." And that's funny you said Avid, but I thought it was Avid that said that, but we were close on the idea.
That was awesome.
Was that really deep?
No, that was
too deep?
perfect. No, I think that was awesome.
But yeah, so
I thought it was too deep.
too deep. I'll slow it down. I'll slow it down. a
No,
little
but
bit.
you're
No, you're
right.
good.
One. Would you say 8% in this?
It's spelled David, but we're saying David. How do we get there?
No, it says David.
I think that's David.
I see what you're saying.
Everybody, I guarantee you is reading that as Thomas David.
Absolutely. And look, if you like Thomas David, you vote for Thomas David. But no, I guess some relatives one day my family's from France, or something, so they thought we're not changing
stick
it.
with
Yeah, we're
David
gonna be
stuff.
fancy.
Yeah.
But when I was up in New York, they couldn't say David. They would not.
No.
I was David.
No.
I was a good David.
My maiden name's Aver, so I feel your pain on
Yes.
that.
That one
Ebert
hurt.
forever.
Herbert.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
so in and like the DeVille area and stuff, there's Jordans, but I think they pronounce it Jordan.
Jordans.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's it, and that's just how it is. And I'm actually the third. Okay, so there's 3 of
I
us.
forget you. I'm the third too.
All right, I knew that.
Gerald Wayne Huffman.
I'm
the
Thirds
third.
are always the
Shout
coolest.
out 1
I'm
and
the
2.
first.
Hey, when we have a little girl, I want to name her Hailey Huffman the second, but she's not for that.
Haley
You
Jr.
totally do it.
Haley Jr.
Haley Jr.
Well, you know, I didn't name mine the 4th because, look, my grandfather was amazing. My dad, great. And then I was like, dude, it's slowly getting worse down the way. So I really I'm just going to call him Shepherd. Y'all, both of our kids are named after TV characters.
Really?
Okay,
I
so-
thought Elliot was named after Elliot Street.
No,
What's Elliott Street?
Oh, Elliot
you
from
talking-
Scrubs.
So Scrubs
I
is
love
my
Scrubs.
favorite TV show.
I do love
Yeah.
Scrubs.
And I loved Dr. Elliot Reed. Her name is Elliot Reed David.
Wow.
Okay, so-
you went first and last name.
I'll never forget this. I was walking to the bathroom, and Nally and I were just dating, and she goes, Thomas, if you ever had a little girl, what would you name her? And I said, Elliot Reed David. And she goes, oh my God, that's beautiful. I said, "Thank you."
Easiest child naming ever.
She goes,
He said, "Thank
she
you."
goes, is that a family name? I said, of course it is. I now have a daughter named Elliot Reed
And
David.
what's Shepherd? He's Shepherd.
Okay, so Natalie comes out, and I said, look, I tricked you on the first one. You
Yeah.
can name the second one. She could not think of a name. She could not think of a name. And every name she said, or we said, she'd be like, I don't like that person. I'm like, that's not our
Well, that's
kid."
not the
Yeah,
problem. Yeah.
but I understand that trap.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but she loves the shows Southern Charm.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and there's Shepherd or
Yeah,
Shep.
Shep.
And she was like, I want to name it that, but everybody will know that's after this show. I was like, we named our first one completely after it. So she.
Shepherd, I mean, Southern Charm's like a deep track. Like I would never have known
Yeah.
that. When we eventually have a little boy, I want to name Joe Wayne Huffman the 4th. But I forgot who it was. Maybe it was Dad. That was like, I'm gonna call that kid Quad. Like, don't call a kid Quad. Like, don't call him
That
Quad.
was the nail in the coffin.
Never mind.
Never
mind.
No.
He'll be Bob. Everything but Quad.
All right, everybody ready for the outro?
saying
Everybody
it at the
knows
same
what it
time.
is. You know what it is. 1, 2, 3. Well,
Cheers.
here's something else. Cheers. All right.